Well, all right, everybody. I did not expect for us to be covering this today, but here we are. A beloved meme among the left, though not quite the beloved person himself as far as his political beliefs and moral systems go. Jesse Lee Peterson, amazing, that guy, has been accused of being, and I quote, a gay groomer. He's been accused of such by a YouTube channel by the name of, well, this is called 21 Studios, but the actual group that's exposed him goes by the name of, it's like the Church Militant or something, Christian Militant group or something. It's literally some Game of Thrones villain shit. You know that season of Game of Thrones when like the religious fanatics take over? It's some shit like that, right? We'll scale that up to modern day. With that said, though, they've decided to expose Jesse Lee Peterson, and they've made this video, this documentary type thing, to do it. And we're gonna be watching a little faster than normal speed, for sure. It's called Amazing Disgrace Documentary. Jesse Lee Peterson exposed as male groomer and sexual predator. So, I only know a little bit about this from what people have told me about it in video calls and voice calls on Discord and stuff. I've yet to actually watch this or hear anything about it. And it sounds pretty fucking crazy. But listen, the group that's accusing him of this is itself known for being quite fucking insane. So there's really no, we don't really know who to trust here, right? Both of these groups are very untrustworthy. You know, we got Jesse Lee Peterson's who's just himself and crazy, and then this church militant group that is just downright to the core insane. This is a little dramatic. Damn. They actually put like some work into editing this thing. Holy fuck. How relevant is Jesse Lee Peterson, like, in the conservative space?
I've changed, and I don't have any skeleton in my closet.
You were saying that you're 100% saint now?
I'm not saying that I'm a saint, but I don't do those things.
In the early 1990s, Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson began his ministry as a student of Roy Masters, a British-born talk radio personality and hypnotist.
I'm sorry, hypnotist? I don't know why, but when I hear somebody's profession is hypnotist, I just immediately assume they're a racist. I'm sorry, but if somebody says, hey, I'm a professional hypnotist, can I hypnotize you? And be like, you're gonna rape me, aren't you? That's just the first thing my mind goes to. I'm sorry. It's a simple, biological response I have to that statement, to being informed of that knowledge. That's my honest reaction to that information.
Peterson and Masters promoted a similar system of meditation and theology, a system that includes rejecting the Holy Trinity and our blessed Lord's divinity. You blame things that you do, somebody else. But thanks to the feckless and spiritually absent bishops, Jesse's theological errors didn't keep him from gaining tens of thousands of Catholic and patriotic followers. Jesse's draw for conservatives was his commentary against the Marxist group Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter, radical.
I mean, I guess Black Lives Matter is maybe not a Marxist group. Well, okay, so for starters, Black Lives Matter, the organization, calls itself a Marxist group. Black Lives Matter, the broader movement, has nothing to do with Marxism. The people who try to associate... There are two types of people who try to associate BLM, the movement, with Marxism and socialism. LARPing white lefties and conservatives who literally can't tell the difference between not wanting to enslave black people and communism. Because to them, those are the same two things.
so-called social justice warriors. They were chanting, "What do we want? Dead cops. When do we want it now? Pigs in the blanket, fry them like bacon." And people went out and started killing cops and everything.
Back up!
Exploiting many angry American men's desires for a stable family life, Jesse would directly call out feminists for their role in destroying the family as well.
I do love the framing, because remember, guys, this is a Nazi, like, far-right fascist Christian organization calling out a far-right... I mean, Jesse Lee Peterson believes in, like, the Jewish question, so, like, Nazi far-right Christian fascist type. So it's nothing but schizo posting on either side of this whole war, okay? It's gonna be really hard to figure out whether there's any merit whatsoever to these allegations. I'm gonna be real, chat. When the people making them are this downright insane, and the person receiving the allegations is this downright insane, we're working and walking on some untreaded ground, my friends.
Sexism is a made-up lie, and it's been made up by women who hate men, who hate the family, who hate the unborn child.
The 73-year-old even visited the Church Militant studio in March, when senior executive producer Michael Voris answered his questions about Catholicism.
Did Jesus just rise from the dead in spirit, or did his body come out also?
He was, maybe his body came, I don't know, but I know.
Well, that's a big deal.
Is he dying? Chat, is, like, Jesse Lee Peterson going through, like, an illness right now? That can't just be the lighting. That is not just the lighting. That is not just the lighting. Because, like, right here, like, around his nose and his, like, lower cheek area here, upper cheek? I don't know what this part of your face is called. Like, that's more or less just how his normal complexion looks, but around here, he looks like he's been bruised or sickly. Is he doing all right? He looks a little, like, under the weather. I mean, I know he's old, but, like, being old doesn't make you, I don't know, maybe it's, like, age and the light, maybe? I don't know. I hope he's doing all right. Do I hope he's doing all right? Chat, do we hope Jesse Lee Peterson's doing all right? I feel like I'd be sad if I found out tomorrow that he died. But it'd be a different kind of sad.
Welcome to capitalism, my dude.
It'd be a very different kind of sad. I don't know. I'd just be like, damn it. JLP, oh, thank you for the $20, Tigrine. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. JLP had a debate on Church Militant earlier this year, and it got quite heated. They argued over who's the better Christian stuff, basically. That is speculated to be what sparked this hit piece, so enjoy. Oh, well, thank you for the $20. Really appreciate that. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I was told that the alleged ex-partner of Jesse Lee Peterson comes on and talks about their relationship. That's what I'm looking to see. If any of that is real.
Rose in the spirit. That's what.
No, he rose in the body.
Why I want to make that.
But he rose in the body. You can't say he didn't walk out of the tomb on Sunday. And
like, this dude's like super duper white, like overexposed. Maybe it is the lighting, because I feel like this guy's got the same thing going on, where like lighter parts of his face are like ridiculously fucking pale, and then like more tan parts of his face are like kind of dark. Maybe the lighting in the camera is just making it so any change in skin complexion is just super pronounced. It could literally just be that on the cameras. I'm looking at both of them now, and I'm starting to see that it could just be the cameras. I'm not saying Jesse, obviously Jesse's old and whatnot, but like he's an old man, so obviously his skin's gonna be a little wrinkly and fucked up, but so's this guy. He's old too, so it kind of makes sense. It looks like the camera's just weird. Good. Our boy's not dying. Jesse Lee Peterson's got a while left in him.
For what we knew at the time, Jesse was an ardent opponent of homosexuality in and outside the church, and presented himself as such.
Look at this man. When you imagine homophobe, you imagine this man. Now, I want to make it very clear. This guy is gay. The guy that's on the screen right now is gay. Anybody who goes this out of their way to shit on gay people, who forms a militant church group like this, specifically meant to ostracize and shit on people for allegedly being gay, because they're not homophobic enough, this means these are the gayest of the gay homophobes. There is no doubt in my mind whatsoever. This guy he's the throat goat. That neck beard is like it's a warmer for the throat. Because you better believe it needs to stay warm because there's regular visitors visiting that throat.
Jesse was an ardent opponent of homosexuality in and outside the church, and presented himself as such.
The spirit of homosexuality is of their father, the devil.
I like your shirt. Stop having sex out of wedlock. Okay, I need to get that shirt.
It's not them, the person. It's the spirit that made a home in them. And it came from them overreacting to some sort of a situation in life, whether it's from someone.
All right, chat. If I ever do a interview with Jesse Lee Peterson in person, I'm going to take 1,000 milligram weed edible before I do it. That way I can be in his world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to exist in the plane of reality he exists on, and I feel like taking a 1,000 milligram weed edible right before, like maybe an hour before I go on there, I feel like that would let me experience what he's experiencing constantly. But only for a day, I'd get to experience what he experiences at all times.
Messing with them when they were kids, or overreacting to an angry mother, because you become like what you hate.
But
I agree that this documentary is trying very hard to have a bit of a Tarantino editing flair to it. I feel like. Am I the only one picking that up? I know that NB-chan just point that out, but yeah, I'm getting that trying to be Quentin Tarantino with the editing vibe.
Shortly after the March interview, friends of his came to us with a different story.
Oh shit!
These stories first came to light when Jesse's former co-host.
Well, unless this is a fake picture, that's pretty gay. Listen, guys. I've never snuggled my homies like this, chat. Listen, I'm very progressive, very comfortable with my sexuality, my gender, all of that stuff. And even I don't snuggle the homies like this. I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing at this image. There's just something about the image of Jesse Lee Peterson snuggling his homie. Just love it. Snuggling with the homies isn't gay. That is true. It is not gay. Purely. Okay? But is it straight? Is the question. Is it straight? I would answer no.
An alleged decade-long gay lover exposed him.
Fuck.
61-year-old Patrick Rooney has known Jesse for nearly 30 years, dating back to roughly 1992.
Everybody know Patrick Rooney, one of the smartest white men on this side of heaven.
Bro, okay. Listen, if they were having sex, you better believe there was some weird race play going on, right? Can you imagine the weird race play, interracial race play shit Jesse Lee Peterson must be into? Whether he's gay or not, or a groomer or not, regardless, the race play stuff that he is into has gotta be, it's banned on Pornhub. You can't find the shit he's into on Pornhub, okay? Too Mad and Belle Delphine moment? Nah, that's not even close to what I bet JLP's into, okay? JLP said this unironically, and I'm quoting him directly here. I am an Oreo cookie. Black on the outside, but white on the inside. And he genuinely believes this. He also apparently wears blue-colored contact lenses. Very bright, piercing blue-colored contact lenses. Yeah, he does. Remember when he said he was a slut maker? Yeah, he was. But back in the day, of course. Not anymore. He was being serious. JLP's not an Oreo cookie because he's black on the outside and white on the inside. He's an Oreo cookie because he's filled with white cream.
The two were so close that Jesse was the minister at his wedding and the pastor at his baptism, long before Rooney claimed any homosexual activities began.
Right around that time, I also had started a TV show. I was doing a public access TV show in LA.
Now, to be clear, as a conservative public figure, to just come out and say, yeah, by the way, me and Jesse Peterson were in a decade-long gay relationship together, like, assuming this is true, and this guy's actually coming forward about a relationship that was, like, abusive or, like, grooming or some shit like that, like, assuming this is true, like, or untrue, really, this is going to harm this guy's reputation a lot. If he has any level of reputation at all in any conservative space, being on here and talking about this and talking about just telling this story would harm his reputation greatly. So unless this is all just a lie and they're paying him a ton of money to make up for it, like, it's a big ask of this dude to ask him to lie about all of this, you know? Like, they would have needed to, like, one, had, like, a really big falling out. There would have to be a lot of money offered. This guy would be literally throwing away his entire reputation in every single conservative space by admitting that he was gay. Like, I don't know. I don't, like, I think he make this sacrifice out of spite? But we don't even know if they had, like, a falling out or anything. We haven't even gotten to that part of the story yet.
And with a friend of mine who had gotten off heroin and wanted to, he asked me to be involved in the show to help other people get off drugs and things like that. So we started a show, and one of our first guests was Jesse and another gentleman from Bond. So we did a couple shows with them. And from that time forward, right after the show happened, Jesse and I talked in the green room, you know, backstage. And right off the bat, he started asking me stuff. Jesse's very forward with his questioning and things like that. So he actually asked me right after that show.
That is true.
Are you gay?
Rooney's characterization shows.
I believe that. In fact, I would believe if the first thing Jesse Lee Peterson said to him was, "Are you gay?" Okay? However, that doesn't necessarily say much.
That Jesse allegedly used similar grooming tactics as other homo predators, like Saginaw priest Father Robert DeLand, who asked similar questions when preying on a young man in 2017.
To discover that you have some gay tendencies is a fine thing, because then you don't have to be so confused.
Right.
Do you feel less confused?
Do you? Yeah.
After Jesse discovered Rooney's...
By the way, there is going to be a very strong and deliberate effort in this video to tie grooming, sexual assault, and other forms of sexual violations directly with gay people, with LGBT people, queer people in general, in this whole documentary, because that is their whole MO. This is not as much a calling out of Jesse Lee Peterson, like a Me Too type thing. This is more so an attempt to, I guess, gauge gay and pedo jacket, gay jacket and pedo jacket, a combination, ghetto jacket. That's a completely different thing now. You understand where I'm going with this. They're trying to gato jacket Jesse Lee Peterson here, I feel like. Motherfucking homo predator, according to them. Yes, homo predator. It sounds like some evolved form of humans. It's like if I traveled 1 million years in the future and humans have evolved into like apex predators, if they were called homo predator. Like that would make sense to me.
Same-sex attraction.
Homo predator would be if a human and predator fucked and had a child. The child would be of the species homo predator.
His relationship with Jesse was taken to the next level. Bit by bit, Jesse began edging him closer and closer to sin.
That was intentional. That was absolutely intentional. Jesse started edging him closer to sin. Come on, they did that on purpose.
He moved up there to do the show. We stayed in the same house. Jesse would kind of do some things, kind of horseplay and stuff like that with me.
Horseplay.
And at times he would do stuff where he would like grab me and then we'd kind of wrestle around a little bit.
Okay.
And then I'd feel his, private parts against me.
Just boys being boys.
And he did that more than once, so it wasn't like an accidental thing. He would kind of do it, and then I even mentioned it like, what's that or whatever, and he would kind of play around and joke about it.
Fast forward to 2005.
I really hope we get deep, in-depth details on Jesse. Okay. Can you imagine what Jesse Lee Peterson would say and what it would sound like when he said it during sex? Can you imagine? I want you to try to conceptualize that in your brain for a second, okay? I really hope we, at the very least, get some vague references, okay? I'm choosing not to. I'd like if you did.
And Jesse was ready to make his final move.
We did a conference with them called Moral Reconstruction, which is kind of ironic now that we're sitting here talking about something else. It's called Moral Reconstruction.
Cream.
We did that. That first conference was, I believe, in 2005. And we did a follow-up conference in 2006 with them as well. And I went with Jesse to Washington, D.C. For this conference. I was a fundraiser at the time. And so we did fundraising, and I was part of the conference. While we were at the conference, we stayed in Virginia, near DC. So we were sitting on the bed together, and
okay,
all of a sudden he turned to me and just looked at me, and he said, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" And he said it in
the music, dude. What is this editing choice? The music. Do you listen to the fucking music?
Tone that was really insistent, and I'd never seen this tone from him before. It was like kind of scary. It kind of scared me. Like what? What do you want to do? I knew what he meant, and then I told him, okay. And at first I'm scared, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm playing along here. It kind of threw me off my game, I guess, in a way. I think later I realized that's kind of something that people do sometimes. It's like the devil works in a certain way by intimidating you, and it throws you off your normal game. And so he said, "What do you want to do?" And he was like, "Okay, I'm scared." And then...
All right. For me, the number one piece of evidence that, the most loud, virulent homophobes are themselves in the closet, the best piece of evidence I've always had has always been their rhetoric. The way they talk about homosexuality. Not the way they talk about homosexuals. They have nothing but hatred and negative things to say about gay people. But gayness itself, it's very interesting when they talk about it. Have you guys ever noticed it? Let me take a drink first. When they talk about it, the way they frame it is as if homosexuality is a temptation that everybody feels and experiences, and that straight people are people who are capable of controlling those urges and not acting on them. That is genuinely the impression I get from conservatives when they talk about homosexuality and being straight. I'm pretty certain I'm straight, and I assure you there are no gay urges that are required to be fought. There are no gay temptations or anything like that. It is absolutely projection and closeted gay conservatives projecting their self-hatred and self-perceived inadequacy, I guess, onto an entire demographic of people for reasons I can't quite explain. I can't read their minds. I don't know why, but I know for a lot of them, it's money. I know that for a lot of them, it's money.
I told him what I want to do. I mentioned sex acts, that he knew about, that I had already talked to him about, that I was interested in. And next thing you know, he's ripping his clothes off and coming at me, basically.
Damn.
And I did the same, took my clothes off. And next thing you know, we're fully at it, having...
Okay, now we're talking.
Not getting detail here, but basically full-on sexual acts.
Rooney's recollections show that Jesse mirrored DeLand's sexual
Nice.
advances almost identically.
I love you. Love you too.
Wait. Okay. So, in one case, we have what appears to be, I don't know the case they're talking about here, but judging by the fact criminal charges were levied, I'm assuming this guy is a pedophile, like, pastor, priest, or whatever, who was grooming a young underage boy and got into legal trouble for it, and rightfully so. Are they going to try to draw a comparison between that and Jesse Lee Peterson having a consensual, long-term, secret gay relationship with this guy? Are they going to try to claim that both of these things are... Is that what they're doing? That's what they're going to do? Well, that's phenomenal.
I love you. Love you too. I know. What are we going to do? I don't know. No, what are we going to do, really?
Rooney's description shows that after their sexual encounter, Jesse began intertwining his private homosexualism with blasphemy.
After we had just done the first sexual act, and then ever since then, he told me that once we did this, I was born again. This sounds crazy, but this is the absolute truth. He said that I was born again. He would remind me of that through the years.
Following being born again, Rooney contends that his sodomitic relationship with Peterson went on for roughly 10 years, until Rooney decided to come clean to his wife and son.
My son was really angry. My son was mostly angry.
Dude, God, it's the same fucking story over and over again with these conservatives that are in the closet. I guarantee these fucking dudes, they're just like by 25 years old, they find some girl they've known since high school to get married to. They have a kid while every time they have sex, they're thinking about dudes so they can get it hard. They have a kid, and then they have a whole family. Then behind their, family's backs, they're cheating on their, wives to have gay sex because they've literally been lying to themselves, put themselves in the closet, and have been hating themselves since they were, in their early 20s when they got married to their conservative white high school sweetheart like they're supposed to, as far as, society led them to think. It's sad. It really is sad. This is a very common thing. It's a real stereotype. It's a stereotype for a reason. It's a real thing. When you think about gay people in our society, if I said imagine a gay person, you would probably imagine somebody who's at least at the oldest in their 20s or 30s. There are plenty of very, very old boomer generation gay people, and plenty of them are probably also trans and in the closet. All right, and most of them are conservative and self-hating and running the Republican Party. Okay, you better believe that because I want you to think for a moment. All the time, I'd say there's countless. I want you to think for a moment. I really want you to think for a moment. Why on earth, other than projecting self-hatred, would anybody feel a moral obligation to fight against the existence and the ability for gay people that are just somewhere in the world to live their lives? If it weren't for an attempt to strongly overcompensate for their own self-perceived failings in their sexuality. There is no other reason than that. There is no other place I can think of that the hate can come from. Not even disgust. Not even disgust, I don't think. I don't even think it can come from disgust. I don't even think so. Because plenty of people are disgusted by furries, and yet there's no massive overall public push against furries. There's been a tiny little droplet of that mixed in with the trans stuff, but it's mostly about trans stuff. I think it's, and LGBT stuff in general. I think it's mostly closeted, self-hating LGBT people in the conservative side of politics, for the most part, pushing this stuff. I genuinely do.
Agree with me, because he had Jesse on such a pedestal.
And I hope that they can finally figure out who they are and live their true lives, because not only will it be better for them, but it'll mean a lot less work for me.
My son had Jesse on such a pedestal, he literally thought Jesse could walk on water. We got on a phone call, we talked to Jesse, and as soon as we brought it up with my son on the phone call, Jesse denied it. And I said, Jesse, you're a liar. You're lying. You know this. You know you're lying. And he finally came out and admitted to my son that he did that.
Rooney later moved to Florida to get away from Jesse. But according to Rooney, Jesse couldn't handle the relationship ending, offering him several bribes to get him back to LA.
Oh, shit.
It's typical for homo predators to try and cover their tracks using a cornucopia of strategies to shut people up.
Okay. Tell me about these
In the case
homo
of Father
predators.
DeLand, it was now deceased Saginaw Bishop Joseph Sistone, who remained silent on DeLand's abuse for years. While serving as an auxiliary bishop in Philadelphia in 1994, Sistone allegedly watched as documents containing names of up to 64 suspected sex abusers were shredded, earning him the nickname Bishop Shredder.
What is this music choice? Jesus Christ.
Among the U.S. bishops. According to Rooney, for Jesse and those loyal to him, the strategy was to bully and silence all victims and witnesses speaking up.
Hey, I should say, by the way, stuff like this is very good. The left is very prone to infighting, but the right is too. The problem is that right-wing infighting tends to stay very silent. It tends to be kept private. Usually they keep their shit from hitting the surface, you know what I mean? But lefties in particular have a problem with, you know, having all of their drama, all of their infighting, all of their bridge burning, all of that shit be a massive public display for everyone to see. And that's affect the reputation of the left. So when you see massive public displays of the right eating itself like this, it's always nice to see. It always warms my heart a little. Improves my day just a wee bit.
Jesse did throw me under the bus, basically, and other people that did anything like that, and still does. If anybody comes up with it, they'll keep anybody off the air.
You're talking about other victims?
Well, yeah, other victims. And he'll make sure that if anybody talks about these things, calls up his show or does anything like that, they were not going to get through on his show.
Patrick explained how easy it was for Jesse to discredit victims, given Bond's history of seeking out troubled young men.
A lot of the people that Jesse brings around him are troubled young men, right? Have drug problems, right? Some of them been in jail. So it's pretty easy to discredit a guy who's been on drugs, maybe in jail or something like that. It's pretty rotten thing to do.
Beginning last November, Rooney began writing a collection of blog posts hinting at Jesse's predation, leading him to a shocking discovery.
After I published these articles, I found out from a young man, a very credible young man, that Jesse was fooling around with this young man.
That young man was 30-year-old Samuel Arambula.
I was expecting them not to say the age of this person, but I liked how they said Jesse began grooming and predating on this young man. This young man was 30-year-old, like... Yes, this 30-year-old young man, Jesse Lee Peterson, the homo predator, was grooming. Like, let's be real here. These were probably consensual, if I'm being real. Like, listen, I wouldn't put it past Jesse Lee Peterson to disrespect the sexual consent boundaries of a woman, but I feel like Jesse Lee Peterson has, like, that bro respect for another dude type thing, and I don't really feel like Jesse Lee Peterson would, like, sexually assault or groom another guy. I feel like he'd be, you know, a consensual gentleman with it, you know? He'd be like, you know, well, no one's looking. Both of us know each other are gay. Let's go at it, you know? Like, I feel like that's what, you know, I feel like that's what they do.
A more recent member of Bond and Jesse's latest known purported victim.
I started going to Bond around May 2020.
2020.
This was during a...
Look at this young man who was groomed by Jesse Lee Peterson.
Coronavirus, lockdowns, everything. As soon as they opened back, they were doing live broadcasted, no in-person church for like 2 months or 2 weeks or something like that. But as soon as it opened up, I went. That was May 2020. Jesse, what he likes to do...
It sounds like all these people are gay guys that now feel guilty due to their internalized homophobia. I think something that a lot of people have to realize is that Christianity and a lot of other religions offer, to a lot of people that adopt it later in their life, it offers some level of reassurance it offers an excuse to put off the looming fact that you are going to die one day, and just it allows you to feel as though in the back of your mind maybe there's something good for eternity waiting after you die. And a lot of Christians who adopt Christianity later in their life, I've found, that do it because of that, they tend not to be super into like the hardcore bigotry stuff, I've found, but then you get like the born again types. And that's what we're seeing here. The people who are like so scared once they get like their quarter life crisis or whatever of dying and either going to hell or there being nothing, adopt a religion and then start to go all the way with it, and overcompensate, which seems to be the case for some of these guys. Does Jesse ask if people are beta males just to find bottoms? Maybe that's the case. Maybe he's asking, are you a beta male? And afterwards, like, oh shit, guys, if I get interviewed by Jesse Peterson, is he going to come on to me? Oh, fuck. I never had to turn down a dude before. I've never had to turn down a woman before either. What am I saying?
In the church is he goes around first timers. He goes around first timers and says, introduce yourself. What's your name? You know, how'd you find us? Where are you here? The first thing I said, my name is Samuel, and I'm here because, you know, you helped me a lot. I went and forgave my mom. I went and forgave my dad. I had a lot of anger, and I just dropped that, and I feel way better now. I'm really, you know, growing, and I want to thank you for it.
Among him are 3 other alleged...
Okay, this gentleman is sitting quite gaily, all right? For those of you guys that don't know, there is a popular meme that states, correctly so, that bisexuals do not know how to sit. Every position that this gentleman has sat in so far has led me to the bisexual meter, all right? My bidar's going off.
Witnesses and victims who also chose to tell their stories.
That's how I'm sitting, so my feet are
Samuel
up.
began
I
his
like
relationship with
XQC
Jesse
sit.
professionally.
Let me show you guys the old XQC sit. See? I find this comfortable. How does he get... He's got like his arm like here. Jesus Christ. How flexible is his leg? Does his leg just like... Is he doing this? How the fuck? Is he just that thin? I'm pretty thin because I haven't been able to get my calorie surplus in. And I'm still not as fucking thin as XQC. Fucking El Goblino.
Washing cars for him and doing other cleaning work at what they call the Bond House. The Bond House is where Jesse and several of his male staff currently live. And when Samuel began opening up to Jesse about his past, things got personal.
I was molested as a boy, so I was like, Jesse, what do I do? Like, this is weighing heavy on me. What should I do? He said, forgive him, it's in the past. Our relationship progressed slowly, closer and closer. I didn't suspect anything weird of it. There were certain times where he began hugging me where I was like, whoa, I've never been hugged by a man. Like, what was this? But I was like, this is, I get, he would just tell me like, you know, I just love you. So I'm like, okay, I get you, you know, I love you too.
But, much like with Patrick Rooney, Samuel states things went from casually close to mortally sinful.
So a Friday afternoon, evening, I go to Jesse's house and I am sitting in his couch.
Watch him tell a story about having consensual gay sex with Jesse now.
Couch, relaxing, you know, I'm kind of avoiding the LA traffic at the peak hour. So it's a good deal, and I get to stay somewhere with someone that I respect, friend. So then by this point, we're already real comfortable with like hugging and all that stuff, you know, just hugging for long periods of time. I thought nothing weird of it. I guess my guard had already been let down completely. So I'm sitting on this couch, he kneels down in front of me, and then he wraps himself around, his arms around my waist. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird, but I'm like, Jesse, why are you doing that? He's like, I just love you so much. And I'm like, okay, I guess. I was just like this. So then he starts rubbing.
So far, pretty creepy. Doesn't sound consensual to me.
In my thighs. And
JLP's pulling a Fedmeister, it sounds like.
I'm like, okay, what is he doing? Like, it's kind of crazy. And then he starts rubbing my genital area. And I'm like, what's happening right now? And then he pulls down my pants. And then I'm like, I'm shocked. I'm not saying anything. I'm like, my face is like, whoa, what the hell is happening right now?
Remember, guys, I know it's usually a thing that's pointed out or like talked about when a man rapes a woman, but freezing up is a thing that happens. If a guy like tries to have sex with a girl and she doesn't say no and freezes up, that is not like consent. That is a thing that happens, and it is also a thing that can happen to men. You panic and freeze up. It can absolutely happen.
From there, Jesse instructed Samuel to go into his so-called meditation, called the silent prayer.
And he's like, doubt all thoughts are lies. Everything Satan is telling you is a lie. And I'm like, okay. But inside it's telling me, hey, this is not good. What are you doing? What are you allowing him to do?
Samuel describes Jesse abusing the supposed meditative state, trying to convince Samuel to ignore the traumatic sexual experience occurring.
It went on for a few minutes. He would get up, walk away. I could hear him, I couldn't see him. Get up, he would get up, walk away. I could hear him get up, walk away, touch it, get up, walk away, touch it. And I was like, what the hell's going on? So then I opened my eyes, and then I'm like, what just happened?
Another alleged victim was Trayvon.
That's very creepy. That sounds like the kind of shit Fedmeister was doing to the girls in the offline TV house. You guys remember that drama? For those of you guys that don't know, Fedmeister is a pretty popular streamer. Used to be a member of Offline TV, an extremely popular streamer group over on Twitch. And, you know, they have a presence on YouTube as well. It's quite large. They have a large presence basically everywhere, but they're most known for their Twitch streams, their streamers. And Fedmeister was exposed by Pokimane, Yvonne, and Lily Pichu, I believe, as, I wouldn't say a sexual predator necessarily. That would be maybe a bit of a stretch of the wording. But he had this tendency to engage in sexual harassment habitually. He would come into the girls' rooms, and I guess they were on a level of friendship where, like, laying in a bed together and, like, spooning and watching a TV show completely platonically was, like, on the table and okay. That was, like, the established, boundary, from my understanding, at that point. However, the boundaries got crossed when, I think with Yvonne, Fedmeister, like, reached into her sleeve. Now, I'm imagining a short-sleeved shirt, and, I mean, this is... She said he reached into her sleeve and touched close, not quite on her boob, but close to her chest. So, like, I don't have titties or anything, but, like on the side, close to, like, so, like, this. Like, on the armpit kind of area. Or here. There's, like, no theoretical place that he could have been putting his hand, reaching up in there, on her side, on her chest, but not quite on her breast, that isn't still, like, absurdly in the no-no area. So that was sussy as shit, and he repeated this behavior, and then when confronted about it, and this is how you know he knew he was doing something wrong, when confronted about it initially, he would deny it. Play dumb and deny it, act like, oh, I was drunk, I don't remember anything last night, and then later that day or whatever, come back and apologize for it. So he knew what he did. He wasn't drunk. He remembered it. He was lying, and he knew what he did was wrong. It's why he lied. And I believe he had engaged in other habitual harassment, especially with, like, Pokemon and stuff. I don't know. Sounds like what he'd done was, what JLP did was very similar to that.
On Chapman, who in 2015 told his friend, now 43-year-old Armand Martikian, that Jesse molested him.
What a last name.
Well, the first thing came out of his mouth, that Jesse's homosexual. And I say, you can't be saying this, like, he's all against it. He's a, straight...
Is he Italian? Sounds Italian. He's got a very Italian-sounding accent.
Conservative men who, this is like, what you're saying is bizarre, doesn't make sense. But at the same time, it kind of struck me as a truth. What this guy was saying, he was explaining the incidents, like certain acts.
Armenian by the name? Oh, I can't tell accents. I'm gonna be real with you guys. Like, everything east of the UK, I probably couldn't identify the accent. Basically, all of Europe and Eurasia. And I couldn't define the accent too well. Maybe like Danish people, because for some reason, every Danish kid I've run into in Fortnite has ended up being a Nazi and screaming the N-word when they die. I remember playing Fortnite a lot a while ago, and I'd run into a bunch of kids who were Danish for some reason. I think it was because I was playing on EU servers to try to play against worse people and get more wins. And I would do random duos, and I'd get into these games with like these random fucking Nazi Danish kids. What is going on in Denmark? Why are all these 12-year-olds Nazis? All right, Zan, let's test your UK dialect knowledge. Identify the Welsh accent. I can identify a Welsh accent. That I can identify. I can identify Australian and New Zealand, but I mix them up often. Here's the thing. New Zealanders say nar, and Australians say nar. There's a difference there. When a New Zealander says no, they say nar. But when a Australian says no, they say no. You all agree. The New Zealanders and Australians in chat right now are like, fuck, he's got us red-handed. He's got us. Smoking gun.
That they would do, they had some nicknames. Jesse had nicknames for it, you know.
Nicknames.
Instead of telling what the act is, he named it oral massage, according to Trayvon.
An oral
Armand
massage.
tried to tell Jesse what Trayvon said, and he just dismissed it.
I went to Jesse. I said, Jesse, I bumped into Trayvon, and he was talking bad things about you. The moment I said that, his first response was, oh, he's on drugs. When he said he's on drugs, shivers went down my spine, like, uh-oh, aren't you gonna ask what he said about me?
Trayvon has since disappeared. None of the men have any idea of his current whereabouts, though they assume he's still somewhere in LA.
Okay, wait, that was a really, whew. I mean, I was gonna say there's many ways that could have ended up, but it seemed for a second they were heavily implying that Jesse dealt with him. Who was that celebrity, that really famous actor who totally murdered some people? And he did like a Christmas video that was like low-key kind of threatening his accusers of sexual assault. Like he'd been accused of sexual assault, and like 3 of his accusers, Kevin Spacey, thank you. Yeah. It reminded, like, I thought they were hinting at like some Kevin Spacey level shit here. Like JLP had him silenced.
After this encounter, Armand began questioning his own relationship with Jesse.
And then I had a flashback. Back in the day, it was such an insignificant thing that it never stayed in my memory, but for some reason, the flashback had when I was in a private counseling.
Okay, like 3 out of 6 of Kevin Spacey's accusers have died mysteriously due to like suicide or whatever. And he put out a video shortly after one of the victims' deaths for Christmas that was like super creepy and had some line in it that was along the lines of, those that have smeared my name will face justice's wrath or something. Maybe I'm being too broad. Maybe that's a little too extreme, but like it was something like you'd see in a movie from a villain who's killed multiple people, and it was like some Homelander on the TV lying his ass off to the American public about how much of a psychopathic murderer he is. Level shit.
He kind of gestured me, let me see down there, pointing at referring to my, down there as in my privates. Not knowing what was...
Bro, how are these grown men so afraid to say cock and balls, dude? Is it the internet that's desensitized me to foul language? Honestly, no. My mom has desensitized me to foul language. My mom taught me every bad word I know. I remember the day she taught me the word cunt. She said, and I quote, I want to cunt punt that bitch. And that's the day I learned the word cunt.
I'm at very late teens at that moment, kind of got tricked into it, pulled my pants forward where he kind of looked at it. But at the same time, I'm thinking like, maybe he's trying to see if I'm shy. He's trying to help me overcome shyness because I was a little shy, I didn't know what to make of it. I remember saying, if somebody sees us from outside, they're gonna think we're gay, I said. Later, I looked back, thought that the fact that I said, if somebody sees us, they're gonna think we're gay, he kind of probably thought that, okay, he's too aware, I'm not gonna advance any longer.
Former Bond House manager, 50-year-old Robert Santner, alleges he witnessed similarly strange behavior in 2021
Hit me up.
between Jesse and current Bond producer James Hake.
Oh! Wait! Is James Hake gay too? Well, of course he is, but oh boy. Okay. Alright. I literally met Hake in person. I sat next to him in person and debated him. It was very fun. It was very, very fun. My day was immensely shitty, and I joined stream to Zan saying, that's how I learned the word cunt. Fuck, I love this stream so much I finally smiled today. LMAO. I'm glad to hear that, Gotskato. We like to be funny ha-has here, okay? We do some funnies.
What I witnessed him and Jesse were...
If I don't get at least 5 funnies in each stream, it's just been a failed waste of time.
hugging each other intensely, rubbing each other's shoulder down stuff, and he came to a point where I actually saw him kissing him on the cheek and stuff on the hallway, and talking all kinds. I can't remember what the words he said, but there were a lot of giggling in the hallway in his James room. And then there was even one time that just really shocked the living hell out of me, is I went to the laundry room and stuff.
Just kissing his homie goodnight.
After I took the laundry out, and then when I got out, and there was a door open in Jesse's room, and there I saw Jesse was sitting in the bed, and while James Hake was wrapped around bed sheets, completely around like a burrito with his head sticking out. And Jesse was like embracing him and hugging him and stuff. And then
Oh my fucking god. That is the funniest thing I've ever... Because I'm visualizing Jesse Lee Peterson fondling and straddling a James Hake who's wrapped up very tightly like a cocoon, like a Hake burrito, and just being caressed by Jesse Lee Peterson in a hotel bedroom. I sat next to this man in person in Texas while he talked about homosexuality being a sin that is degenerating our society. And meanwhile, he's being fondled by men in hotel rooms while wrapped up in bed sheets like a fucking burrito. I love that this is my job. Like, okay, can we just stop for a moment? And I need to be grateful for a second that talking about shit like this is what I do for a living. Speaking of, by the way, to keep that happening, consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, or supporting me on any of my other platforms, YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. Just spent a shit ton of money on brand new audio equipment to help your sensitive little beautiful ears, so if you want to help me recover from that devastating purchase, then it's always appreciated. But never donate if you can't afford it. I've made that very clear before, and I'll make it clear again.
kissing him on the forehead. And I was like, hey, are you all right?
I think this might be
Hake,
gay.
to this day, is an ardent defender of Jesse and his ministry, essentially helping him ostracize all the men accusing Jesse of homopredation. Santner also described an incident where Jesse attempted grooming him.
The site subscreen isn't loading for me. Try doing a resetting your cookies, like clear your cache and reset your cookies on your browser. That usually does it.
To see if he was a homosexual.
Like there was one night, okay, I was all by myself. It was like late at night after I came home from work. I was in the kitchen, you know, doing my own thing and stuff. And then suddenly there was Jesse appeared on the doorway.
Oh.
Leaning against the doorway with his hand underneath his underpants.
Oh.
And he was like slowly massaging himself and was giving me a look, and I turned around and says, "What the heck are you doing?" And he was like giving me a smile and giggle and stuff, and then walked away.
Bro, that's like some Louis C.K. shit. Oh my god. That's true. That is certainly some Louis C.K. tier shit.
Another witness is Martin Francis, who's largely been leading the charge against Jesse's purported homopredation. He describes himself as one of Jesse's best friends. You may recognize Francis from a video with Jesse arguing with a Univision reporter at a Prop 187 rally in Los Angeles in 1996, a rally opposing the flood of illegal aliens entering the state.
I see the blood on his forehead and the video that we've seen him in previously, and I feel like a story's been told here. I feel like we got answers to a question that I didn't think we were going to get answers to. And you know, that's something.
Are you all right?
Are you okay? Oh, I'm feeling better than ever.
Are you all right?
Yes, I'm all right.
Are you racist?
Am I what?
What are you think of these people now? Why? Why you stay here?
Are you racist? Am I racist?
Yeah.
No, I'm not a racist. Why do you ask that?
But since learning of Jesse's dark secret, Francis has led several...
Well, there you go. He said he wasn't a racist. He can't be a racist. Good lord, the glow down.
...protests against Peterson's homosexuality outside of the Bond studio. Jesse was confronted by him several times.
Okay. I really don't want to be mean. Who remembers the character from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Rickety Cricket. And how he, like, starts out... He starts out as this, like, well-to-do, well-put-together, like, priest, godly guy. You know, he has his life together, his shit together. And as the show goes on, the gang get him involved with their hijinks. And over time, he sustains so many physical, mental, and spiritual injuries, addictions, vices, etc., that he ends up more or less going through the exact same journey as this man did. Look at him in this photo, and him in this photo.
Several protests against Peter...
Banger show, true.
Peterson's homosexuality outside of the Bond studio. Jesse was confronted by him several times this year and refused to address...
Listen, he did not go to the hospital after that injury.
...any of the accusations of him preying on young men at Bond. Here's a video of Francis from March.
Xander Hall getting banned off of Twitch for ableism. Xander Hall getting canceled on Twitter for ableism. Couldn't be me.
Facing off with him at what appears to be the post office across the street from the Bond studio.
Oh, that's nice. He wants me to tell them how I was sleeping with my brother's wife. That's fine. But Jesse, why will you not speak on your homosexual behaviors?
Francis confronted him again.
Oh my god, it sounds like Geeks and Gamers.
In the back of the building with Armand Martikian in February, capturing it all on video.
Jesse Peterson, I've known you for 25 years personally. Will you come? See, he's not coming over to me.
Will you come? Jesse Lee Peterson. Will you come?
Will you at least stand there where you feel safe and talk to me? Stand up on your porch with the door open and shout out to me. Why won't you talk to me? I've known you for 25 years. I've accused you of heinous things, and you will not talk to me. You coward!
Francis admits there were also a few clues that should have revealed Jesse was a homosexual, long before he ever found out.
He wanted to see if I was willing to have a homosexual relationship with him, of course, because that's what he was all about. He was about putting out feelers there and seeing who he could have sex with. And it didn't work with me because I had not been molested as a boy. And so eventually I told him, look, Jesse, I'm just an angry guy and I don't like these long hugs and all this stuff we're doing, you know, at night.
And did he stop?
Where he would come into my bed and just lay with me.
Oh my god, he is like Bedmeister.
Yes. And at one time even like put his hand underneath my underwear to go toward my genitals, right? He never got there because he could see I wasn't getting excited. So he never got there. He just like at the edge, you know, because you got to invite the vampire in, is what they say in the vampire movies.
Someone in my chat named Chief Beef just said Count Blackula. I'm gonna have to put like parentheses in the title that says like warning 10 plus minutes of uncensored, unedited laughing.
Welcome to
I'm drooling because I'm laughing so hard. Holy fuck.
Psychosis asterisk got a tier 1 asterisk subscription.
Oh my god. Tychosis, thank you so fucking much for the tier 1 sub, the $5. I really appreciate that. I'm hugging you right now.
Welcome to capitalism, my dude.
Haven't seen this channel in a little bit, and this is what I come back to. This is fucking gold, man.
Oh yeah, well I'm glad you're enjoying what you've come back to. You'd be surprised. A lot of people started watching me back in 2020, 2021, maybe even 2019. And I will be the first to tell you, I can't go back and watch any content from, I'll say 6 months ago and older without cringing my fucking eyes out, okay?
Asterisk PFF Tila Cakes asterisk gave asterisk Raztriton asterisk a tier 1 asterisk subscription.
Thank you. Everything about streaming, from speaking, joking, your rhetoric, your arguments, everything about it requires practice to get better at it. And I started doing it and very quickly like blew up and gained a bunch of subscribers. But I wasn't, I feel, at the time, up to par for that level of popularity. So a lot of those people kind of stopped watching my stuff. And now they're watching my stuff again because it's popping up in their recommended and they're back into politics and stuff. And they're like, oh my god, I haven't watched Zan in like a year or 2 years or even more. And god, he's changed a lot. He's way better at politics. Like, yeah, you'd be surprised. A lot of people have said that. And it's nice to hear, I'll admit. It is nice to hear. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
It's sort of true with even psychic vampires like Jesse. And so he would do those kind of tricks or put his hand around my back and up on my chest and be hugging and all that kind of stuff just to see if maybe I could.
He just called Jesse Lee Peterson a psychic vampire.
And asking me if,
Did this man just call Jesse Lee Peterson a psychic vampire? I'm sorry, I'm very high, so I said it like incredulously at first, but then it just fully hit me that he'd said that, and I had to pause it again and repeat it because just come out and be gay, please. Live your truth.
And it feels good, right? And all that kind of stuff. And I would meekly answer, yeah, it feels good. But only because when you're under that kind of pressure, you just give the answer that he wants, but you're really like wanting to get the heck out of there.
That's true. That, like I said, people can freeze up, men too.
You're like ready to fly out of there like a bat out of hell.
Jesse appears to have used every dirty trick in the book to silence him, allegedly trying to have Francis arrested for violating an unserved restraining order.
I will go back to Phoenix and chill out with the relatives like I was doing before, and I'll be back on the 25th.
Okay.
25th,
Fortunately
yeah.
for you, this is in the sealed envelope today. If it hadn't been,
Yes. Yes. If it was already served, you had already seen this, you would be going to jail.
Church Militant asked every single victim and witness if they thought Jesse would continue sexually preying on men. and they all...
Admittedly, it does seem like this guy has been stalking and harassing Jesse Lee Peterson for a while now. Yeah, it's looking a little bit obsessive and excessive.
Had the same answer.
Well, yeah.
I would say yes.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind.
There's no doubt that there's current victims.
I think for sure.
Jesse allegedly accuses these men of harassment, but some members of his own congregation disagree, like former Bond House tenant Fabian Asensio.
Harassing is just an excuse for, trying to shut people down. Bond has been a nonprofit church for all these years. He's lied and collected a lot of money from that church, from people saying that, he's been a hidden homosexual. There's plenty of evidence for it. There's no reason for us to make up anything. So for someone to be out there...
Bro, I love that the conservative community right now is like a nonstop game of Among Us to find who in their community is gay, except everybody is the imposter.
They're in the alley and talking and trying to wake up the employees and say, hey, what are you doing? Why are you still working for this liar? That's totally within our First Amendment rights.
Jim Valerio, longtime donor and friend of Jesse's, also pushed back at his defenders.
And for those of you people who are still supporting this so-called fraudulent, hypocritical, serial predator homosexual, you are going to pay a price for that. That is a stain on your soul when you meet your creator. Period. Cut.
This isn't even the first incident. Jesse was embroiled in a homosexual scandal in October 2020, after his Twitter account liked a gay pornography image. After the tweet was left up for hours, Jesse's account was immediately...
I forgot about that. Oh no, I forgot about that. Let's be clear. JLP is a 1,000,000% gay and in the closet. That is not even close to in question at this point. However, whether or not he's a predator, I mean, there isn't really much in the way of substantiation to most of these accusations. The ones that are substantiated are the ones that aren't bad, is the thing, right? Like, they're able to substantiate the long-term gay relationship he had between the first guy and him, but that was consensual through and through. The other guys, the ones where it was like the most like rapey, what JLP did, the most inappropriate, there's not even really evidence from my understanding that they knew each other in some cases. Also, they're more concerned with him being gay than concerned with him being a predator. Well, of course, they're trying to tie these things together as if they are the same thing, as if they are synonymous.
Locked down and set to private. One caller on his daily JLP show broadcast tried asking him about it, and Peterson hung up on him.
Did you lock your Twitter account because you got caught liking a gay OnlyFans post?
Amazing. Do you think I handle my own Twitter stuff?
Oh, somebody else did it? How come you locked the account?
None of your business. What the? Are you a homosexual or something?
No, but it doesn't really
Why
matter.
Are you such
Damn, he's trying to get ass on the air, dude. Holy shit. He's trying to catch some ass on the fucking air. That is a brave maneuver. We'll see how it works out for him.
a beta male? What, you know, all that stuff that's going on is not real, but you being a girl right now. What making you be a girl right now?
There's nothing wrong with it, Jesse.
There's nothing wrong with you being a girl?
They were in...
Goodbye.
On top of those we spoke to, there were several other anonymous alleged victims Church Militant was made aware of, who refused to speak with us per their devotion to Peterson and his so-called ministry. Jesse continues to deny his own actions to his congregants and his fans, shutting down any victims who stand in his way. For Church Militant Special Assignment, I'm Joseph Enders, Detroit.
Well, there we go.